Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25. This is my GM report card. I didn't go over this last episode, but consider this my GM report card. This is what I've got going on here. And you can see the players that I've acquired who have given me the most WAR. So far, it's DL Hall, Hunter Brown, and Kyle Isbell, although two of these guys are no longer on the team. The players who I've given up who have, produced the most WAR elsewhere for the teams I gave them up to: Tyler Soderstrom, Mitch Spence, and Mason Miller. Let's talk about Mason Miller. Led the American League in FWAR among all pitchers because of his very minuscule home run rate, only 13 in 186 innings. He looks like a beast. His control is up way higher than at least our old scout had him. So that's, good for the Kansas City Royals. We got one over them with the Kyle Isbell trade. I think they got one over us with the Mason Miller trade, although Pasquantino's probably our best hitter. So, I don't know what to make of that one, really. But he was always kind of, jonesing to be a starter, and he got his chance, and he looks pretty good so far. So that's our worst trade for sure. Spencer Arrighetti also in that trade, and he barely pitched for us last year because of injury. Best trade, again, that other one with the Royals is this one. And then we also did quite well trading Triolo for Jared Brown, as well as Lil Perfido, and then Walker Buehler at the deadline for DL Hall. Those have been some of our better deals, but that is our GM report card. Here are your top 100 prospects in baseball as of opening day 2028. I think I spotted 3 Oakland players. Number 19, Luis Castellanos. He's been at the top 10 at times, but he falls to 19. I don't know how he'll develop. He's going to strike out a lot, but he's got massive power. Chris Baker, our first rounder from last year, who I am actually very excited about, is a 55th on here. And then we have one more. It's going to be Daniel Cuvée at 62, at least as far as I can tell. Let's check in with the top systems as well. And yeah, it's just those 3, Castellanos, Baker, and Cuvée, and because of those 3, we are the 16th best system in Major League Baseball. We are projected to win 72 games this year. This is actually one of our higher projections in recent memory, which is a little bit surprising to me considering I kind of think the team stinks. But the Tampa Bay Rays are projected to be the best team at 95 wins. Wyatt Langford projected to be the best position player just ahead of Julio Rodriguez. That's interesting considering Julio has won 3 consecutive MVPs. Shane Bieber projected top pitcher in the American League for the Boston Red Sox. Braves projected top team in the National League with 99 wins. The best player projected is going to be Acuna as well as Harris in terms of position players, and the recently signed Pablo Lopez for the Giants is the top projected pitcher in the National League. I do want to look at our prospect screen real quick here, not a full check-in, but we still are starting the season with a lot of these guys in rookie ball, not quite yet ready to make the jump to full season A. It's a big jump. It's a big gap. The closest is Julio Carmona, who I was very tempted to throw in A ball at the age of 17. I decided not to. I'm going to start him in Arizona, though, because I believe their season starts earlier. And then if he does well there, then maybe I can bump him up to A ball by the end of the year, and he'll be quite young. He is a relief prospect only because of his 2-pitch mix. But if he were to ever learn a 3rd pitch, we could try that in the player development lab. It's really hard. He would be a pretty legit starter, too, would be my guess. We have a crew of guys who we drafted out of college getting their starts in high A. That's the catcher Steve Young. That's Stephen Milam, who is our actually 2026 5th rounder. Chris Baker and Eric Ackerman were also in our most recent draft class, with Chris Baker being the first pick of that bunch. Connor Griffin, who was our 2nd pick, will still start in A ball. He struggled in A ball last year, so he needs a little more time. Didn't move Daniel Cuvée up or anything like that. He finished at AA, and that's where he will start. But yeah, that is our little prospect check-in for now. Devin Taylor in AAA. And look, there's no rule that says you can't win on opening day against one of the best teams in the American League. It's not written in the MLB rulebook, so let's give it a shot. This will be the debut of Noah Miller at shortstop for us, as well as moving on from the Shea Langoliers era, although I will point out he is still technically in AAA for us, and Jazz Chisholm. Welcome to the team as well. Right, so we'll open in Fenway. We haven't opened on the road yet, but Vinny Pasquantino will be the first batter of the year for us, our leadoff hitter, probably our best player last year overall. Let's see how he can do against Shane Bieber, the projected top pitcher in the American League. You can see the monster over there in left, and he will ground out to first to start the year. Next up is Denzel Clark, 0-2 pitch from Bieber. Strikes out, and that leads it to Jazz, his first at bat for us. And Jazz is going to hit it to the first baseman, who misplays it, and that's an error, so he will end up on second base. That brings up Josh Mears, who's worked on his strikeouts, and I will give him this. On full count, he does not strike out. He pops out to first. Score 0-0. Zach Geloff, 2-2 pitch. Strikes out. Oh, and Bieber hurt. This has happened before. This happened on like the first opening day we did. We faced Bieber when he was with Cleveland and he got hurt. But he's been pulled out of the game. And they've brought in Richard Fitz to face Joey Ortiz. So tough break for the Red Sox here in this game. But he will get the strikeout. Sears facing Marcel Mayer. Plunks him on an 0-2 pitch. We don't like that. Only 39 pitches now. That's going to be a swinging bunt. And it will be a hit. Moniak. Runners on first and second. Not a good start to the inning here for Sears. Endeavors hits this one. It will be caught by Clark in center. Vaughn Grissom up now. Grissom infield pop-up. JP Sears trying to get out of this inning. We're going tit for tat with Boston, who are missing Shane Bieber. And that ball is hit to left. Will it bounce off the monster? No, it will not. Caught by Chisholm. Through 4. Still scoreless. Only 3 hits in this game. Game is still humming along here in the bottom of the 5th. Only 4 hits between these two teams. And it is going to be a leadoff walk for Oswald Peraza. JP Sears trying to keep up with Boston. And that's going to be a fly out to center. Brings up George Springer of all people. And he hits one to the gap. Although it looks like Clark will be able to track it down. 2 outs now. And then finally facing Roman Anthony. It's going to be a ground out to second. Sox are retired. We are through 5, still scoreless. Do I dare steal on Alejandro Kirk here? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to steal second. Clark does take off. Kirk throwing it in. But Clark will be safe. We get a runner in scoring position. Jazz Chisholm. Ooh, bloop, 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 bloop. It does bloop. Can we get the run home? Yes, we can. Big steal. Big single by Jazz. We get a run in this game here in the top of the 6th. That's going to cause them to bring in Tyler Rogers to face Josh Mears. Sees first pitch. Ooh, first pitch hit. So we get another runner in scoring position. Runners on first and second with 1 out for Jacob Wilson. 1-2 pitch. He's going to pull one down the third base line, and it looks like that's going to be a double play. So a rally killer there, but we do get a run. Bottom of the 7th here. Sears has been brilliant. 82 pitches. I'm actually ready to turn this over to Scott Effross. This is a run of righties for them. So we're going to let Effross do his thing. That's Willier hitting the single. But now here come the righties. It's going to be Peraza, Kirk, and Springer. Should have let Sears face Willier. How about a double play to erase my mistake? Nope, just a force out. Kirk now strikes out. And they're going to pinch hit Emmanuel Valdez to try to get the platoon advantage. And he is going to hit one down the line. This is interesting. Will the runner try to score on this potentially? Yes, coming home. Wow, and the Red Sox tie it up on a pinch hit double by Emmanuel Valdez. Oof. Let's get Ben Bowden back up. He's warming. Effross will have to face Roman Anthony. Do I visit the mound here? Yeah, Ben Bowden's ready. I'm going to bring him in for this situation. I should have let Sears get the first out of this inning. Anyways, lefty on lefty. We do get the fly out to center, but the game is now tied at 1 apiece through 7. They've brought in their closer, Woo Suk Go, to try to prevent us from taking the lead in the 9th. We'll lead off with Josh Mears, who does walk. Interesting. Jacob Wilson up next. Full count. He's going to hit one up the middle, and that erases the walk. Another brutal double play in this game. That leaves it up to Geloff. Geloff hits this one well, but it will be caught in left. We'll move on to the bottom of the 9th, trying to prevent Boston from walking it off. We're going to leave Ronan Kopp here, but he already threw 24 pitches. This is going to be tough. We have Joe Boyle warming up. I have a bad feeling about this inning, but we'll see. And it is a leadoff single for Peraza. It was on the first pitch. We're going to use a mound visit here. Give Ronan Kopp a chance. Oh, and that one gets through as well. A couple of rinky-dink singles for Boston. And they are threatening right away. And I don't have a lefty to bring in against these guys. They're going to bring in Jose Ramos. Am I out of mound visits? Yes, I am. Yeah, we're going to let Kopp face Ramos. Boyle is not yet warm. Big strikeout there. Huge strikeout. All right, 1 away. Do I leave in the tired Kopp versus Anthony for the lefty on lefty? Or do I bring in Boyle, who is now ready? There's no good answer here. I'm going to leave in Cop. 1-1. We do get a ground ball. Won't be able to turn 2, but we do get a force out. And at 35 pitches, can Cop be the absolute hero here and just grit his way through the ninth to put us through 2 extra innings? No, the ball gets away from him, and it's going to be a walk-off winner for Boston. The ball got past Reese McGuire, and that's it. A thriller on opening day. We lose 2-1. We had him on an 0-2 pitch, but it just got away from the very tired Cop, and Reese McGuire wasn't able to get the block in, and he's unfortunately going to take the loss for that one. But yeah, a thriller on opening day. I hope you all enjoyed it. I certainly did. We have started slow because the offense and the bullpen in particular have started slow, but I will say Julian Aguilar, brilliant in his debut, getting us our first win of the year. We are 1-3. Wait, hold on a second here. It's April 15th, and we're 8-4. The number in the W column is larger than that of the L column, and we're scoring runs. Is this allowed? All right, April 27th, we are 14-10 somehow, although bad news, Noah Miller injured with diagnosis pending. That's usually a longer-term injury when you don't get the answers right away. So let's see, we'll finish up our series versus Boston right here. We lose 0-9, but hey, all right. It's a very moderate injury. It's not a big deal at all. He can play through that. All right, May 1st, 1 month of the season in the books, and we are 15-12, 2.5 off of the division lead, half a game off of a potential wildcard spot, although trust me, a long way to go in this season. One thing that strikes me about this team early, 13th in FIP, but 4th in runs against, and part of that is the ballpark, and the other part of that is the defense. Look at this. We're first in zone rating. This is where we want to be. We want to play the best defense in the league. We kind of got away from that after our first season, and we've back to reprioritizing that. We trade for Noah Miller, which kicked Joey Ortiz over to second, and I think that has made a big difference for us. May 6th, I'm going to send Owen Murphy down to AAA, not because he's been bad, but just because I think he is our 6th starter, and I want him to be a starter, and he can't be a starter up here right now, so I'm going to send him down to AAA. Gibson Long is also out of options, so I can't do the same for him. So we're going to set up Gibson Long as our long reliever. We're going to say avoid high leverage for him, and we need a middle reliever, and I know exactly where to get him. Now, Bryce Montez de Oca is still injured for 7 more weeks with that partially torn labrum that he suffered in spring training. That being said, if we go check out the waiver wire, we see who else but Christian Montez de Oca. So I think this is an easy like-for-like swap. We are going to claim Christian and put him in the bullpen. May 8th, we are 20-13, and early on this appears to be a polarized American League because we've got these 4 teams currently competing for basically the same wild card spot, and then after that, everyone else is below 500. So there's the good and there's the bad. Thankfully, so far, we are part of the good. We are a half a game behind Texas and a half a game ahead of everyone else for a wild card spot. I do want to thank these guys here in the middle of the lineup. Jazz Chisholm off to an incredible start. Look at those numbers, goodness gracious. And Josh Mears doing the exact same thing. So I don't know if those two can keep it up. If they regress, and I think our offense could definitely be in trouble because those guys are the engines of the offense right now. But it has been a fun start to the season. We're 20-13. This is the most games we've ever been above 500, if I recall correctly. This will bring us down to earth a little bit. We've lost 3 in a row, and then Denzel Clark, fractured foot, a 3 to 4 week injury. I don't entirely know how we're going to deal with that, or I'm going to figure out how to set us up here. So here's how we'll start. I'll call up Brett Phillips. By the way, here's your friendly reminder that Freddie Freeman is still hanging out in AAA for us, as well as Shea Langoliers. None of them, elected to seek free agency. They are chilling in AAA for us, as well as, Nick Allen. And I'm going to do center field platoon, Enrique Bradfield Jr. batting 9th versus right-handed pitching, and Judd Fabian in center versus left-handed pitching. I don't like it, but it's probably the best option we've got for the next 3 to 4 weeks. May 31st, we are 27-26. Braxton Ashcraft has an injury, sprained ankle. It's kind of funny, our pitchers don't tend to get the arm injuries because of the great trainer Rick Jameson, but they will suffer some lower body stuff from time to time. You remember J.P. Sears had a torn meniscus last year, so he get off easy with a sprained ankle. But we're going to need someone new in the rotation here to replace Braxton Ashcraft. And I would say it's a pretty easy choice for us. It's going to be Owen Murphy. We're going to throw him in the rotation. One guy in the rotation I am giving a side eye to is Julian Aguilar. He has a 5 ERA despite only a 2.29 BABIP allowed, allowing a lot of home runs, 11 in 53 innings. He could see his spot in the rotation come under siege at some point as well. June 1st, prospect check-in. Keeping an eye on Alexis Calle. That's the switch-hitting Nicaraguan outfielder we signed for only $1.9 million despite excellent ratings. Trying to see if he can make his pro debut this year. The ratings for me are very borderline, but I would love to see him in rookie ball. We're having our scout fill out a report to get some more up-to-date information on him and how he's doing and whether he should stay in the international complex or not at his very young age. In terms of moving from rookie ball to A ball, the one guy we're keeping an eye on is Julio Carmona, who's a relief prospect for us. I will say these ratings have come down quite a bit. Maybe our new scout doesn't like him as much as our old scout, but he's not doing well. We started him in Arizona because their season starts earlier, and he has not done well, so I don't think he's a threat to make that jump just yet. In terms of A-ball, well, we have one player moving up from A-ball to high A. That's going to be Connor Griffin, who was our second rounder last year, did really well in A-ball, slugging 600, 16 homers in 47 games. We're going to give him a shot at high A. And moving up from high A to double A is going to be Chris Baker, who was our first rounder, also an outfielder. And I'm really excited about him. We just got a nice scouting report on him. And after a good outing in high A, we're going to move him up to double A somewhat aggressively. And another guy in double A I'm keeping my eye on is Eric Segura. Look at Eric Segura, our second rounder from 2026. Looks like he could be a pretty good pitcher, and he's been absolutely dominant ever since he went pro. He had a massive season in A-ball in 2027. And that caused me to move him up and have him skip high A entirely. And in double A so far in 10 starts, I mean, these ratios are fantastic. He looks absolutely fantastic. I'm starting to wonder if he could make his big league debut at some point this year. Daniel Cuvée, we've moved up to triple A. He does have a hamstring strain, but when he returns from that hamstring strain, he will be in triple A, not double A. You can see he did pretty well in double A last year when we moved him up, but even better this year in 2028. I felt like it was time to move him up to triple A. And with Braden Holcomb struggling, I wonder if he could sort of fulfill that role as a DH for us versus left-handed pitching as we slowly try to integrate some of these prospects into our big league lineup. Devin Taylor's another guy who we're hoping to integrate into our big league lineup. Off to a good start this year, I would say. Certainly better than he was in 2027, where he played the entirety of the season in AAA and did not do well. I don't really know how good I think he is or how good I think he could be. I'd love to see that contact come up before we call him up. But with Jazz doing what he's doing, I guess that's who's blocking him. And Braden Holcomb, who is one of the draftees we're trying to get into the team, not doing well. Has hit his first couple home runs, but not doing well at the big league level. So that's our prospect check-in. All right, good news for us on June 3rd. We complete our sweep of Toronto, a pretty dominant sweep overall. They only scored 2 runs in the entire series. And Denzel Clark is ready to come off the injured list. I'm going to make the call. I'm going to waive and DFA Brett Phillips because, we're probably going to have to eat his cash. But Enrique Bradfield Jr., not terrible. 345 on base, above replacement level in his brief stint for us. So I think we're going to hold on to him as a 5th outfielder of sorts. And we're going to bring in Denzel Clark to be our starting center fielder again. In other news, JP Sears has a day-to-day injury, a strained hamstring. I think I'm just going to have him pitch through it. I think he should hopefully be all right. And Julian Aguilar, who I was giving the side-eye to, an excellent game against Toronto in that series. 8 strikeouts, 5 hits, no walks across 7 innings, scoreless. Jazz Chisholm continues to be an incredible acquisition, and it's only got me wondering, we have a competitive team this year, but I'm thinking down the line, I'm thinking future. Do I even dare consider trading him? He still has 1 more year with us after this on his deal, but he's been our best player so far this season, so there's 2 ways you could take it. You could say, hey, we need Jazz if we have any shot of making the playoffs, or you could say, wow, we could trade Jazz and we could maybe get someone who helps us make the playoffs every year in return. By the way, I'm sorry about the constant switching between the OSA ratings and head scout ratings. I don't know, the game just keeps switching me or I keep mishitting a button, but trust me, I go off the head scout ratings when I make decisions. June 10th, got swept by the Dodgers. We thoroughly got our butts kicked. We are 31-31, tied with the Twins for a wild card spot. Again, I don't really know if that matters if you're saying it on June 10th, but we have a series versus Los Angeles coming up, and Owen Murphy should be our next probable pitcher. And he had a dreadful outing at Houston, just awful. So we need to maintain a winning record here, and we do, in fact, win that game. And he pitches a game that I would describe as not terrible. I do want to shout out our catching tandem at this point in the season. Reese McGuire is pacing for 1.2 WAR. He's facing righties for us. Jane Melendez facing lefty, straight out of indie ball, like no minor leagues, no nothing. We just signed him, put him in the majors, pacing for .8 WAR and a 95 OPS plus. So combined, those guys are on pace to be like a 2 WAR, league average catcher. And that's great considering just how cheap they were and how, Shea Langoliers was sub-replacement level last year. So we're getting a boost from those two. And they're also a boost in terms of their personality ratings. American League All-Star voting update. I'm curious to see if we can do something I don't think we've done this save and send multiple players to the All-Star game, because currently in left field, Jazz Chisholm ranks 3rd, and Ronan Kopp is the top vote getter among all AL relievers. June 22nd, we are 36 and 37, so we have indeed dropped below 500. Do have some good news, though. Bryce Montez de Oca is ready to come back after the injury he suffered early on in the season. And we're going to have to make some tough decisions here. We do have Christian Montez de Oca, but he has been brilliant, so there's no way I'm getting rid of him. I'm actually going to have to get rid of Sawyer Gipson Long. He's just not really ever been that good for us. No splits, please. Just look at the numbers he's put up with Oakland. A 5.51 ERA across 248 innings, 30 starts, 44 relief appearances. Hasn't gotten it done for us. He has no options. He's 30. I think I'm going to have to waive and DFA him, unfortunately. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and bring Bryce Montez de Oca straight into the mix here for the bullpen. Braden Holcomb has been so bad for us as a DH versus left-handed pitching, and I've been kind of trying to rack my brain around what to do with him. He has the very obvious strikeout problems. He's only hit 2 home runs in 84 plate appearances, which is bad considering how prodigious his power is supposed to be. Remember, this guy hit 64 home runs in the minors last year, so despite the fact that he's one of our draftees, he's not helping our record with drafted players. So I'm going to move him down to AAA. Hopefully he can, get some more experience down there and do well. But I actually have a good solution to what we're going to do. We're going to run 3 catchers. I'm going to bring in Shea Langoliers to DH in those situations. He has done well in AAA. And you'll recall he is still part of this organization despite the non-tender because I gave him this contract and he stuck around in the minors for us. So welcome back, Shea Langoliers. In a corresponding move, I will have to send down Enrique Bradfield Jr. I think Judd Fabian can cover all 3 outfield spots for us as a bench outfielder if needed, so I'm going to send him down to AAA Las Vegas, where I will call up another player, Nick Allen, just to be a bench infielder for us. One player I have the side eye on is Zach Geloff. He has been our third baseman versus left-handed pitching and our DH versus right-handed pitching. I think what I'll do now is just make sure Jacob Wilson is not a platoon bat in any way anymore, and I will have him play third base also against the lefties, because Jacob Wilson has been great. Jacob Wilson is hitting 302 with an 800 OPS, so he needs to be every day for us, not just a platoon bat. In the meantime, I will be setting up our bullpen like this. We're going to have Bryce Montez de Oca to avoid high leverage for now just because he's coming back from injury, and actually Christian at use more often. And Arrighetti has moved into a stopper role, although with an option for long relief because he has the best stamina out of all of these guys. We do have an injury in the bullpen, though, just a few days later. It's been Bowden injured, diagnosis pending. This could hurt because we need lefties in the bullpen. We only have 2 of them. It's just him and Ronan Kopp. Still diagnosis pending, so that means it's probably a bad injury. Let's move on. Let's see what it's going to be for Ben Bowden. 4 weeks, actually, could be worse. I did so well with Christian Montez de Oca off waivers. I'm going to try that again with Jacob Lopez here because we do need a lefty, and he is the only player available on waivers. And he doesn't look half bad, honestly. We could give him a try. He's done all right in AAA so far this year in Houston system, so we're going to put in a claim on him. And yeah, that'll be another addition to our bullpen, hopefully replicating the success from Christian Montez de Oca. While we wait for that claim to execute, John Fisher has our mid-season review of goals. He's happy with our record so far. He's happy with the increased attendance, but interestingly enough, not happy with improvements in fan interest. Draft record, that speaks for itself. Braden Holcomb has stunk, and he's been the only draftee we've had make it to the big league, so of course that's been bad. He wants us to improve our team record in road games, and he says still not much improvement there. So I guess we win a lot more at home than on the road, considering we're close to 500. International Amateur finds that is a long-term goal, and we're not going to see guys make it to the big leagues for a while. It is July 1st, and we have hit a bit of a skid, unfortunately. We've lost 6 in a row, so at one point we were 37 and 37, right at 500. Now we're 37 and 43. We're 13.5 off the Mariners, who are off to a blistering start. They're on pace for 102 wins, so I don't think we have any chance to win the division. The curiosity would be the wild card, where we are currently 5 games back as of July 1st. We do manage to stop the skid, but some bad news here. Joey Ortiz, sore shoulder, out 5 weeks. Here are his stats so far from this year. He's been a very defense-first second baseman for us. Thankfully, we do have Nick Allen around. Maybe, Gelof gets some second base time, so we'll figure things out. Yeah, and that's what we'll do. We'll toss Nick Allen in there at second base until Joey Ortiz returns in 5 weeks. Dayan Frias is always hurt. He's always hurt down there in AAA whenever we need to actually call him up, so I can't call him up. I guess I'll just bring back Bradfield. July 9th, we are 41-46. I can't help but notice the Rangers have caught the Mariners in the division, so that could be a fun division race to watch as this season rolls along into the second half. But Braxton Ashcraft ready to come off the injured list. This is good news. Our starters ERA is 10th, whereas we're 3rd in terms of bullpen ERA. Our bullpen's been really, really good so far, so we need to boost the rotation. I'm going to make the tough decision. I think Julian Aguilar has to come out of this rotation. I think he's been our worst starter. Owen Murphy, who we brought up, a really good outing and actually has just been hot lately. You can see his recent game log has done really, really well over his last few starts. So I think Aguilar has to come out for Ashcraft. The tricky thing is that, like Sawyer Gipson long before him, he is out of option years, and we knew that when we traded for him. We knew that was a risk. So I think what I'll have to do is put him in a long relief role in the bullpen, and I'll have to send down a reliever who has options. And I think that reliever will be Bryce Montes de Oca. He's only thrown 1 inning for us since returning from the injured list, but you can all but consider this a rehab assignment to the minors in all but name. So we're going to send him down to AAA, put Aguilar in the bullpen, bring Ashcraft back into the rotation. It is July 11th, the date of the first-year player draft. We'll have that coming for you next episode, but I just want to say thank you all for watching. This has been a nice surprise for us in the first half. We're only 3 games below 500, 4 games out of a potential wild card spot. We'll have to see how we do in the second half. We'll have to see how we do, honestly, as we get down to the trade deadline. I'll have some big decisions to make. Are we a buying team? Are we a selling team? Are we a mix of both? We'll just have to see, but this has been a nice surprise for us in this episode. This team, not as bad as I thought. So I thank you for watching.